So let's talk about retiring, just really quick, you know. Uh, and if you are retiring or if you are retired, then a product-based side hustle can be a great way to make an extra income. And I think this is gonna be even more important going into the future because, like we're seeing a lot of governments around the world, right? They're having budgetary issues, they're having income issues, and so one way that you can fix that at the government level, the economic models, the way that kind of thing works is you've seen this with countries like Greece where they really had a lot of problems and then they had to go through a lot of like really tough budget cuts, and that's always mean and tough, man. And the typical way that governments try to solve these kinds of problems is either they are trying to raise taxes, right? And I think you've seen this probably in the UK where they've been talking about certain taxes kind of going up a little bit. Um, Raising taxes is always hard because nobody likes to pay more tax. At least most people prefer not to pay more tax. They want to pay less. Or the other option, cutting spending. And again, there you got problems because where are you gonna cut? Like if it's 100 people standing in line and one of them is gotta be cut from, you know, whatever expenditure programs are going on, they're like, no, my stuff is important. You gotta cut his stuff first, right? My stuff is important, man. I'm running the I'm running the maybe I'm running the defense department. You need be manning the defense for the whole nation. And then you go to the next guy. You say, "Hey, I'm running the education for this entire country. Like, for you to have any productive citizenry, you need my stuff." You go to the next guy. He says, "Hey, I'm running social housing. You cut me, you're gonna have everybody homeless." So, you go to the next guy. He says, "Hey, I'm running Department of Agriculture. You kind of need me. I'm feeding everybody." So at the end of the day, you can't even find where to cut, right? So you're back to raising taxes, taxes again. um, so at the governmental level, fixing these problems that we are seeing in societies all around the world is just really difficult, and that's why it can be so tricky if you're someone that's retired, uh, and you're having to figure out like, are these guys actually able to pay me my pensions, okay? And in a lot of cases, I think you might be able to find that in good economic times, governments are able to fulfill on those obligations, and that's a good thing. But when the economy takes a hit, like what happened in 2008, you saw those problems in Greece and Europe, different kinds of places, and uh, over the last couple of years, you've been seeing these kinds of economic problems as well in like Asia. You've been seeing this all around those regions. And what I can tell you is that a lot of people in those regions that might have put a lot of their money maybe into a government pension program, some kind of retirement services. Unfortunately, in a lot of those cases, especially when there's high inflation, a lot of people lose their money, and this is what happened in Zimbabwe. I'm a Zimbabwean. I know this. I've lived through this. I've literally seen this kind of thing happen, um, and so that's why it's always tricky for governments to be able to fulfill on those kinds of things when the economy takes a hit, because a lot gets dislocated, and a lot of people, ordinary people, unfortunately end up losing a lot of money. This is why, if you are retiring at all, you kind of want to think about, okay, how do I have some other income streams, right? Like, it's great to have government pensions, it's great to have all that set up, but you also need to think about, okay, what do I have in terms of additional income streams? Now, a good way to do this might maybe if you had like invested in like a dividend paying stock or something like that, and that's great. Another really good way to do it would be you actually starting your own product based side hustle. Now, this is gonna be tricky, especially if you don't have a lot of business experience. It's better if you have some business experience. Maybe you used to run marketing, in a small business or used to be in sales, so you're not completely new to selling things, in a business setting. But if all you've ever done is product engineering, for example, or if all you've ever done is software development, or you've done something that doesn't have anything at all to do with the business side of business, like maybe you've been doing, so, some kind of, just legal work or something like that, that's completely removed from the business side, it's gonna be trickier for you to actually do this. But you can do it, but it's gonna require a lot more study. Now, there are three business models that I recommend that are product based, where you're selling a product. The first one of those is e-commerce. You might find there's people talking about drop shipping, which is where you are doing e-commerce without buying a lot of inventory upfront. You're just kind of placing an order with the manufacturer of the product when you get an order on your own e-commerce store. That's a great way to do it. The second way I recommend is to go out there and sell an info product. If you are retiring, it means you've been working in some kind of professional setting and you have a lot of specialized knowledge that people younger than you and lower down the career ladder literally don't have that. Like if you've been working in private equity, you have a lot of knowledge about what it takes to cut it in private equity that people that are literally 40 years younger, just starting out in their private equity careers, literally would pay a lot of money to learn all those tips. This is not just for private equity. Even if you were a farmer and you're retiring as a farmer, there's a lot of young farmers that want to learn these kinds of things, and you can create a course and teach them the best that you've learned over 40 years, and that's going to be very, very valuable. So selling an information product, a course, a membership program where you train people, that's a great way to make money, but also actually have an impact, because now you're educating a whole bunch of younger people that are going to be able to go out into the market and use those lessons that you have learned to make a positive contribution to society. Finally, the last form of product-based side hustle I recommend is SaaS, software as a service, which is where you're gonna go and create a software that solves a particular problem. Now, you do need to have some experience with software. I wouldn't recommend this if you're not a software developer, because then you really don't know what you're doing with software. And software can get very expensive really quickly to build if you are not a software developer, because developers that you hire in China or India or wherever are gonna feed you some line. And if you're not technical yourself, you're not a software developer, there is no way that you can check if what they're saying that you need to pay for is something that you actually need. It's like having people over in Brooklyn telling you that, hey, they got a bridge in Brooklyn that they can sell you, and you're from San Francisco, you've never been to Brooklyn, so you literally have no idea. You literally have zero idea. They're gonna charge you tens of thousands for stuff that you simply do not need and is not gonna make you money. You're gonna flush your money down the toilet. Don't do it. This is why I'm saying it to you. Like, if you don't have software development experience, don't do a software as a service. Simple and plain. Go do something about which you have a lot of knowledge, something related to your own area of expertise. Like if you've been a music producer, hey, create a music production course. You can charge $2,000 for that. Get 1,000 people in, that's a $2 million business, right? Rather than you trying to create some software as a service to auto-manage beats that you don't know what software is capable of, and you don't know how this software is built. It's gonna be 5 years you trying to do that thing, and you've sunk 300K into it, and you still don't have a good working software to show for it, and it's gonna be bad. So those are the three business models, right? Product-based side hustle, and you can do these to actually start making you extra income as a retired guy or as a retiring guy, and that's literally how you create an additional stream of income for your own retirement.